There's a place in every legend that cameras never reach. Not a stadium, not a trophy room, not a highlight reel. A smaller place. A place built when they were young, before the world learned their names, before the world demanded miracles. And once this place is built, it doesn't disappear. It grows with you. It follows you. Some call it hunger. Some call it obsession. Some call it destiny. But what if it's something stranger? What if the greatest players on earth aren't only chasing victory, but escaping a childhood feeling they never truly outran? Tonight, we're not just watching football. We're descending into the hidden architecture of greatness and the childhood secret two icons never escaped, even as football monsters. Before Ronaldo was a brand, before Messi was a myth, they were boys living inside limits. Not the romantic kind, the real kind. Limited space, limited comfort, limited control. And when a child grows up around limits, the brain starts looking for one thing, an anchor, a piece of the world that obeys rules. For some children, it's a book. For some, it's music. For others, it becomes a ball. A ball is small, but it's consistent. It doesn't judge you. It doesn't betray you. It simply returns what you give it. And that's where the first unexplored truth about Messi and Ronaldo begins. They didn't just like football. Football became a private language, the one place their world felt predictable. This raises a larger question. When a child finds an anchor like that, do they choose it, or does the mind choose it for them? What we know these days is just a hypothesis, that certain kids, under certain pressures, develop a bond to a single craft so intense it reshapes their identity. But we still don't fully understand why it happens to some and not others. As boys, they didn't train inside perfection. They trained inside reality. A wall becomes a teammate. A narrow alley becomes a stadium. A staircase becomes resistance training. And in these improvised arenas, something happens that feels like a lie, but it's real. Repetition doesn't just improve skill, it rewires the body. Every touch sends a message, foot to nerve, nerve to spine, spine to brain. Again, again, again. Over time, the brain stops deciding and starts predicting. That's what people call instinct. But instinct is not magic. It's memory stored in motion. This raises a larger question. If instinct is built, not born, then how many hours does it take to create a human who moves like the future is visible? What we know these days is just a hypothesis, that elite players develop faster prediction because they have lived inside more repetitions than normal people can imagine. But even now, human and AI can't fully measure the invisible moment where practice becomes automatic greatness. And that mystery is part of the spell. Here is the childhood secret, not a rumor, not a scandal, a contract. A silent contract many great performers make with the world before they're old enough to name it. If I become undeniable, I will be never powerless again. Not spoken out loud, not written down, but etched into behavior. When the world feels unstable, the child discovers a strange loophole. Control the self. Control the touch. Control the speed. Control the body. It looks like ambition, but underneath, it can be survival. An unexplored truth about Messi and Ronaldo is that their greatness may not begin with joy. It may begin with a need. And the need doesn't go away when you succeed. It gets smarter. This raises a larger question. When greatness is built on a contract like that, what happens when you finally win everything? Do you feel free? Or do you feel hunted by the fear of losing the only thing that ever made you safe? What we know these days is just a hypothesis, that for some legends, victory brings relief more than happiness, and relief is not the same as peace. At the top level, the game is played not with feet, it's played with time. You hear commentators say it all the time, he has time on the ball. But nobody at that level has time. So how do certain players create it? They don't slow the world, they speed up their prediction. They read microsignals, a hip angle, a shoulder drop, a plant foot, a tiny panic in a defender's stance. Signals most people never even register. This is where the story becomes almost eerie, because once you train a brain to read the future, it doesn't stay on the pitch, it follows you into daily life, scanning, calculating, anticipating. This raises a larger question. If a mind is trained to live 1 second ahead, can it ever truly relax? What we know these days is just a hypothesis that some elite performers struggle to turn off the performance brain even when the stadium is gone. And if that's true, then the childhood secret isn't just what made them great, it's also what keeps them moving. Here's the paradox. The world thinks success ends the story, but for certain minds, success is not an ending, it's a new layer of pressure. As children, the question is, will I make it? As legends, the question becomes, what if I stop and disappear? Because when your identity is built around being extraordinary, ordinary life can feel like falling. So the monster keeps training, even after the applause, even after the trophies. Not because someone forces them, because the contract is still active. An unexplored truth about Messi and Ronaldo might be that their most powerful opponent was never a defender. It was the feeling of returning to the person they were before football.